Alright, time for another video, yins guys. And yeah, I did this video over again, and because there was a point I was yammering too much, and I'm gonna say this point in the beginning of this video to make my point, because I'm gonna say this book I read years ago. You can still get it on Amazon.com. The BS Syndrome by Victor Salupo. You can look it up and get it. And when you talk about all these gang stalking videos that I've read about, and I was also said my stories before I even heard of gang stalking videos, and I took the videos down. This was years ago, my early days of YouTube, because I was kind of a terrible speaker on a camera, but I'll talk you to death out in the world. And I was describing bullshit games that people play, and I seen other people say it in their videos, but some other people that were on YouTube all this time and had viewers already will spread the videos and all that. And other than that, you don't know what the fuck to categorize it. And I didn't think my stories can be categorized as gang stalking until I was reading. When I was watching these guys' videos, You Know Who You Are, extensively, and it kind of leads to, or it's in with that. So I'm like, shit. I mean, I use the gang stalking thing to talk about my in some cases I almost wonder if you call it gang stalking, if there's another word you can call it, but the closest thing we can find. But I'm like, fuck, they're telling their stories that way, and I'm like, oh shit. So I'm not really misleading people when using that term to talk my shit. It actually, some of their shit is the same way. But anyway, the book, The BS Syndrome, it actually, the best statement ever said in this book was that, which he don't say gang stalking, but this is a good word for that. For any of you guys that believe in the gang stalking thing, the BS Syndrome book says, quote, a lot of us are literally groomed to be receptacles of bullshit from when we are young. So when some of you guys talk about these things where your parents even, or like, and I was saying that there's so many cultures in it, can be inside your parents, and there's an us against them, you know, the street with, you know, the drugs and different things, and the partiers, and there's the crossover people. There's crossover cultures too, where, you know, you get it where it's community oriented policing. At the same time, you get, because you get the partiers that cross over, they moonlight as partiers, whether they're going to college, you know. And in some crowds, you'll get stalked because you're not trusted. Say if you were a moderate user of marijuana or took a pill or two and drank, smoked, but yet you don't do enough of drugs and you don't party enough, and they always mistrust the people who, oh, who are you buying from? You must be buying from somebody else, or he's probably a snitch for some rival seller, or a snitch for the police. Or then the other side's looking at you like this, and then you get the family member, like in my cases, you have family members two-faced, they're sneaky. They're jealous because somebody's jealous because your mother's kid is going way straighter compared to their kid. So they're looking, you can be gang stalking, community-oriented policing, and harassed by the other kinds, so-and-so's relatives that are privileged, which it's supposed to be community-oriented policing, but yet, oh, if it's so-and-so's kids, it's all right because it's a control thing too. But anyway, yeah, so there's jealousy involved. And my stories were pretty much off of that revelation statement from the BS Syndrome. You can find out you're groomed to be a receptacle for bullshit. People get pissed off and play games, and when you find out about it and that. So in my cases, without rattling on too much, and there can be people that can kick my butt watching us, that maybe can bench press a lot of pounds if they want to be, if they were a professional fighter, karate expert, if they wanted to admit to maybe when they were younger, until they became what they became, they might have one or two here and there, if they choose to admit it, they might have been groomed like this and pissed people off when they broke out of it. Because in some of my stories, like when I was younger, I find this out pretty quick. Your own parents, it's meant to control you. You can have, you can have the better parents that are not dysfunctional so much that, whether it's in a church or somewhere, that it's like you're meant to eventually get out of the house, get married, and all that happy horse shit. get out of the house. It's time. Okay, it's time to get out of the house and maybe start to learn to have an apartment on your own. Then you can be another person who you could be threatened. They threaten to throw you out and swear and scream and chain smoke, but they don't really. They want you to be scared. But then when you're ready to get your own place, they get all mad and tell you it can't be done and do this and that, and they get mad and guilt you that you're almost groomed to be a receptacle of bullshit. And almost like that story of your enslavement YouTube video, children, whether you're born in dysfunctional drug using and smoking drinking environment or a functional church environment, you may actually be groomed as a sheep. You know, they're planning your life, and there's nothing wrong in bettering yourself, but there's a fine line between that and that, you know. It could be a good thing or a bad thing, you know. But anyway, one of my stories were too, it's like, if you have these parents, like when I was younger, that's probably why you get fucked with back in school back in, and it takes you a bunch of years to you realize what's going on. You have parents speaking on your behalf, because the other kids don't even fucking know. You can have other kids back you went to school with don't know, and they're calling you this, and your parents behind your back could be calling you, oh yeah, you're slow, you're mentally challenged, or he's shy, there's all kind of words. I'm just saying an example here. And to find out parents are doing this, okay, if any of you guys are watching, some of the symptoms of you catching it, or say you can be a teenager watching happen upon this video, okay, or at any age, when all of a sudden you get into intelligent conversations with people and you got a parent or family member, or even whether it is some other friend that brings you, whether it's in a church or bring you into a place, they take you aside, or they'll get all mad and go off on you that, well, why are you talking to people, bragging about this and that, bragging about what you got, what you're doing, what you're, you talk too fucking much, and like that. And once in a while, like, I knew this, I started knowing this from when I was a younger kid. Like, for some reason you're groomed to be timid and dumb, and then your parents telling you, there's that overused term, don't get smart. Or you have people on the streets, they even say whether you party a little bit or you don't do enough drugs, there's a code that even if you don't like the police community, you can be in this other crowd in the freedom, and there's another type of police. Don't question things, don't get smart, or you can get beat up. Unlike being arrested, you can get beat up, and because there's a hierarchy out there, you got to watch not to unwittingly offend people and be an asshole too. But in your own house, you were groomed as a kid. Don't get smart. You know, they send you to school to get rid of you so they can sit there and watch television, and then, you know, you're groomed to, you're taught work ethic, but yet you see the hypocrisy. Yes, you do learn work ethic in a certain way, and to even get something done ahead of time and, you know, and it's like, but then when you do what they want and go beyond, because you get better at it, or you ask certain questions, or they send you to school, right? Yeah, like, it's not to send you to school, but yet they tell you don't get smart. And you can be in a religion, and it's like, you can be commended for being smart, or yet, you know, it's not be smart. Somebody can bring you into a church, for example. And I knew this, and I'd go with them. I'd get invited to Jehovah's Witnesses. I've been to Mormon places. And I made friends that I gained respect, but some of you guys might say, oh, I ain't going to these religions. I ain't letting these people in my house. But I learned what was really going on. I wanted to test people, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll go. You know why I went? And maybe some of you guys watching would be like, why the fuck would he do that? Simple, because you ever get this thing where in some cases, you'll be coached when you go, tell you what to say, or if you see these symptoms I was talking about, you'd be told what to not talk about. I had my own fucking brother tell me this shit so I don't embarrass him in some little, whether it's birthday party or some kind of thing to go to. Don't do this or that, and you find out that one of the relatives of his soon-to-be wife was all being silly and doing some things, you know, and being silly and all that. And I forget what it is. I won't bore you with the details, but me and him were talking and joking. He says, oh, yeah, my brother told me don't behave like this and embarrass him. But Yeah, okay, you can go to a church because you're being groomed. They don't want to see you be intelligent. There's a thing about humbling yourself down, you know. And then I went to these places deliberately, got invited. I wanted to see what was going on in different people's religions, different people's cultures, and I get all of a sudden get into intelligent conversations with them on purpose because I find in places from when I was in my own house and how you people with the gang stalking things, how your own parents or even for whatever reasons you can be some kind of criminal, this or that. And I was told, I'm just saying this all in memory. There's a bunch of stuff, could be a bunch of subjects in the video, right? And popped into my head now. One of the examples was one of the clues that they get mad because your parents get mad because they're already telling you you're dumb, you're slow, you're weak, you're timid, you're shy, and then you go around and it's not that you're shy, you're just fucking sick of people, and you just all of a sudden. I started later on walking right up to people and just having these conversations and on purpose. And my mother would get all mad. You're being so fucking philosophical. You're sounding just like AJ there. In parentheses, a guy that married my stepdad's ex-wife named AJ. My mother actually says when I think I was a young teenager, like because. Oh, geez, they they want you to be in religion, the Bible a little bit, but yet scream, swear, and chain smoke. I come from that environment. Then I went in a world where everybody else in society, they want to bring you places is to get brownie points, whether it's churches. And I'd talk all intelligent, and I'd have people that admired my intelligence that way. And then there was this, I had this story later on in life, not too long after I was going with my girlfriend I have now. A couple years ago, we were talking to this woman that she does a little Bible stuff, and she thought I was cool going to her little Bible ministry and all that. And I was like, I was getting the conversations that I talk passionately on these videos about human nature, and I had some preachers or people that preach admire me for what I said, even though maybe I got to be careful not to swear in front of them. But then I had these ones all of a sudden they went from smiling saying hi, they went to this toothy smile, and you can see they're giving you snake eyes after that. And I'm saying that all of a sudden out of nowhere in a conversation you're agreeing with them, talking about human nature, and they're giving you these snake eyes, and they say this comment, oh, you're so smart, you should be able to get a job pretty much anywhere, huh? And I'm like, it's like, where the hell did that come from? It's like a smart remark, you know what I mean? Out of nowhere. And at the time I happened to have been in transition between jobs, collect unemployment, then girlfriend got me in the Salvation Army thing and charity, and which dovetails in the video some of you guys seen, which to be around people, to talk about to people. So you can be around a bunch of people, you don't know if they're gang stalkers or potential friends, and to go and do something in public and make liars out of your gang stalkers, and I wasn't telling you going to that, doing a charity thing was the total answer. You're going to get people, if you've seen that video I made, you are going to get people that are going to get mad and play another card, too. But my point is it's good to get out, and say if you're collecting unemployment at the time and have plenty of money and you get that little money that they give you for doing Salvation Army kettle, hey, you got money already. You don't need that money they're giving you, that little $23 a day they're giving you for that kettle. Put something in right in front of them because the camera sees all. The camera is looking. The camera is with gang stalkers. Some of them are looking for legit criminals. Some people are going to get mad because, fuck, man, I'm looking for him to steal something. He's putting something in there. He's probably, that's probably a game. He's putting 50 in and he's probably stealing 1,000 somewhere, Clever potential criminal. And then, and there was a thing, about the workouts I do. I had my own family get mad at me and tell me, oh, you're putting that on the internet? It's training to kill people. And what? How? Because I had another story. I'll say that I went to a job that I got in through. My stepdad used to talk to people in the scrapyard. And I got a job there for a while, and I found out. I tell that in a separate story already, that he probably was telling people that I'm this, you know, real wussy, like I was saying in this video. And then all of a sudden, people find out the stuff I do, and I was even buying stuff in a scrapyard made out of solid metal, and tell them what I'm doing with it, and they see how I was working and handling these big chainsaw-like things with the big wheel on it to cut metal objects, and brought me in there, or thinking that I am some kind of, like they're helping some kind of person that's not there and timid and shy and probably a little mentally challenged and slow, and I'm talking all intelligently, and they didn't know I'm already handled certain equipment, everything from grinders and things and other industrial jobs, and I was able to stand on things, on being picked up on a forklift to climb on things to clean stuff, and they don't know I've been places, and these people I work for got mad because my stepdad knew of them as friends, and okay, you get passive-aggressive family members setting you up like that on purpose, and they get real mad and raise their voice, especially when you're going out there online and doing things with talking about strength and intelligence and doing stuff that takes strength. They're going to belittle you. That's why I'm advocating the activities that are in other than the videos like this, because some of that's the key. You can walk right up in places you work, pick something right up, or walk and do some kind of. And then when they get mad and they tell you you're this or that, and like I said in my other videos, they'll say, oh, you're some kind of militant, or you're violating safety hazards, or they'll go, there's some people that want to be victims saying, oh, it looks provocative, weird, scary, because you know what, that's another thing, they're trying to make everything scary that you can physically do and physically better yourself, because they want everybody to be a victim, and they're not, and people don't care about these, what else you got out there, the right to be gay and have an affectional preference and all this bullshit that the churches and both sides are fighting about, that I don't give a fuck about. Or they're not somebody wants to relate to be a woman or whatever, or they deserve all these rights. No, there's a part of it, not that I'm here to attack it, but they're using it, they're encouraging everybody to want to be little cross-dressers. They don't give a fuck about anybody's choice. They want to egg other people on and groom people to be victims, you know what I mean? Get guys to cross-dress. I mean, other than if you're one of them people that do those shows, those drag shows that people get paid to do that shit. Or if there was something medically necessary, you're born a certain way. I read and saw in documentaries about that shit. I feel sorry for them people. But people will get mad too, but when you talk about the intention that there are people out there, and it has to do with gang stalking, if you got this far in this video, how come all of a sudden, you get some weirdo that wants to relate as a 7-year-old girl, leaves his family and leaves his wife and kids to live with some people and their kids to be a freaking 7-year-old girl, whatever that article. How come all of a sudden, if they want these people to relate to this, just say leave them alone, let them do what they want? But how come all of a sudden people feel the need to try to groom others, not just fight through the rights, get other people to shout you down if you talk about it, but they want people in next generations all of a sudden to get in big numbers. It's not about choice. They don't like maybe people like me, or maybe some of you. Yeah, I want you to be not only wimps with little cross-dressers, be submissive, docile, and timid. That's the whole agenda. Other than some other body's fucking choice. I can give a fuck if somebody wants to dress like a fucking, relates as a female dancing bear in a fucking tutu. I don't do what the fuck you want. You're gonna. But then if you're gonna force it down my throat, or get the whole groups of people to defend it and say something that maybe me or somebody else that can kick my ass watching this thing, that say me and them, all of a sudden, or preferred that we don't practice anything that's like strength or anything like that, or empowering any kind of way. It's offensive, or it's scary to some of these people, because it's not about choice in that lifestyle either. It's about victimness and wanting everybody to be the same. You know what I mean? And you can say that without being anti anything. So I see through that fucking shit too. I don't give a shit if somebody wants to be gay. They're going to be gay on their own. But this is not even a gay thing. An affectional preference is a different thing. But getting somebody to, oh, you start cross dressing too. Oh, you relate to be a woman like fucking that Jenner guy or girl, the Miss Bruce Jenner turned into Caitlyn Jenner. It's like, oh yeah, they want to do it that way, but don't think they're gonna try to belittle other people that want to go a different way and not do that shit. Like all of a sudden you'll be required and pressured into being something docile, you know, spread that stuff around and make everybody the same. It's not just gang stalking, it's equality extremism. So if you say, oh, even though you don't like it, somebody wants to do it, do what they want, they're going to do it anyway. Like have attitude, they say, oh, you have an attitude, so you must be anti this and that. You must, in your own mind, even though you say it, you're just a repressed person who wants to maybe kill or shoot them or something like that. It's like, fuck you. Like, I always said that. That's what I always said in there, that you can be whatever, minding your own business, and you can be called this or that because you don't need an